Hey Fit Fam, it's Coach Raf from Team Flex. Today we're going to dive into another competition review and we're going to look at our top 3 from the Huanji China Pro, okay? And we're going to look at our 3 athletes, go over the criteria, go into why the placings may have landed the way they did, and what it all means for you as a bikini competitor out there trying to, win your first competition, get yourself to nationals, or even get a pro card, or win your pro show. I mean, I basically break down on this channel the things you need to know to do your best on stage. So if you're new here and you like at any point in time the stuff I'm putting out, hit that subscribe button because we got a lot more coming. All right, so let's get down to it. So this is the Huanji Pro out of China, and basically this is our bikini pro division. So we have Legia here in first, we have Mengru over here in second, and then we have Z over here in third. Okay, and we're gonna look at just our top 3 today and talk a little bit about the criteria and the placings and how they may have landed the way they came into. So first thing you have to know if you're going to compete in bikini is you got to really train for the hourglass shape. So the hourglass is defined by basically the width of the upper body that then tapers in at the waist and widens back out into the lower body. And I kind of like to do a little bit of a diagonal line here, but really it's all about this hourglass shape. So if you can attain that, you are going to do very, very good on bikini stage, no matter what level, right? It could be your first competition, could be you're trying to get a pro card, could be you're already a pro. Your goal really does become, how do you get the best hourglass shape? So you'll notice right out the gate, all 3 of our ladies here in this lineup have a great hourglass shape. There is no question about it. However, there's some clear differences I think we'll see as we go through and maybe why the scoring landed the way they did. So looking at Legia here, she's got great shoulder shape. This is what really creates that first bit of the hourglass for her, right? And when I say she's got great shoulder shape, I mean she's not overdone. Her shoulders don't look too big, and they also don't look too small. So we can see there's definitely shape there, definitely size there. Judges want to see this. This is a bodybuilding division. Even though it's bikini, you still need to work on building your body, right? So it's not to say you can just come in here, not have any, shoulder development, not have any upper body development, in other words, and do well. You won't. So you need to make sure you have that shoulder development up top, and that's also going to be what really creates, your upper portion of your hourglass shape from the start. Now, looking down the line here, we see into our waist, definitely on par with criteria. Narrow at the waist, this creates that V-tape, or judges want to see this. So the more dramatic you can get this, I find, as a coach, that the better it's going to place you on stage. So definitely something to keep in mind. The more that you can bring up the shoulders and bring in the waist, the better you're probably going to do as far as building your hourglass goes. Now, bikini being all symmetry, all shape and proportion, we look to lower body now. Glutes have to match those shoulders, have to match the waist, have to match quads and hamstrings, right? And really a very complete look for Legia here. She's got everything that we would want to see in bikini division. Right there with the shape, right there with the size, right there with the symmetry. Very good look, and it's all very well put on her frame, right? So I'm not seeing any muscle group that looks blatantly out of proportion. Everything is in very good symmetry. And her conditioning is very nice as well. So you can see the soft lines in the abs, some in the glutes, some in the quads and the hamstrings here, and a little bit in the shoulder. And this is perfect. This is what judges are looking for. Soft lines without striations, without separations, without graininess, and obviously no extra body fat either, right? If she had a lot of extra body fat, she'd be softer looking, holding more in the midsection maybe, and that would not favor her. However, she's winning this pro event, so very on par with criteria as far as conditioning goes, and also shape and proportion. Now, looking down the line here, let's look over here at Mengru. Okay, so really good again. A lot of the same things we're going to see for Legia are going to come here. So good shoulder shape. However, I do want to note her shoulders look to be a little bit more developed to me, right? So I'm getting more of like, okay, maybe an upper body dominance when I look at her right away compared to what I'm getting with Legia. So again, maybe a little bit of an indicator of symmetry there, or it could just be the aesthetic of overall her look. Her lat is also very pronounced. So again, this kind of reminds me of what I was just saying in the sense maybe, a little bit too upper body dominant. that could be the case here as well, right? I see that lat and I get reminded of the fact that maybe her upper body is a little bit too dominant in that factor. And just a tad though, honestly, because great taper at the waist and really good shape of the glute, good proportion between hamstrings and quads. This should match. You want your quads, your glutes, and your hamstrings all to kind of tie in nicely together. No muscle group, in other words, looks too dominant, looks underdone. It's all matching, and she's really pulling that off very well. I think for her, honestly, very on par with everything. Criteria-wise, very on par. Conditioning looks great. I think realistically, it may just be a little bit of shoulder size on her that kind of throws that symmetry just a tad in favor of her upper body, which again could be the difference for how Legia gets into that first versus where she's ending second. However, keep in mind, we're looking at IFBB Pro Bikini. We're looking at some of the best competitors in the world when we're talking about pro events. So still very good examples of criteria. However, I want to go in more, in depth into how the placings may have landed the way they did. So now let's look over here at Z, and what we see is basically here, really good shape, really good proportion overall, nice taper, good shape of the glutes and the quads and the hamstrings. Her glutes look to be a little bit underdone to me, right? Like her hamstrings and her quads kind of overpower this look, and overall she's just less of this shape, right? She has a little bit less in the shoulders, a little bit less in the lower body, so less development often is going to move you down in the placings as you go, and that's going to be at pretty much every level. Let's look at the back though, because this is where we really get the full story, okay? And it's interesting to see how when you're talking about posing from the front and then posing from the back, just how different a physique can really look depending on how you choose to pose. So really good note for all of you first timers out here, all you beginners, all you people trying to get a pro card, you really got to make sure that you emphasize the factor that your posing is a huge role of how you're going to do on stage, and you want to make sure you're going to fit the poses that fit you best, right? So looking here, Legia, right, it's crazy to say in the front her shoulders didn't look over dominant. In the back, they look very dominant, and this could just be her posing position here at this point. It could also just be the fact that maybe she has a little bit of a stronger rear delt. That's a possibility as well. It does look very dominant in this shot. However, it does actually match her lower body pretty well. So that's going to, again, tie us together into bikini criteria being symmetry and proportion and shape. And if we look at her glutes are very full. They have a lot of shape, good tie in here, good balance in the quads and the hamstrings. You can see just a little bit of quad from the back here and mostly hamstring development. Upper glute is popping just like it should, so very good, even though it looks initially like, whoa, upper body's maybe taking over, since the fact that she's so symmetrical in the front, and here still, it's a little bit favoring her upper body in symmetry, it looks like, but when you look to the lower body and you actually look at those muscle groups, they do match up and they stack up, and the conditioning is right where it should be. So this is, again, how she pulls off the win in this class. Looking over here at Mengru now, her shoulders that looked very dominant from the front in the front pose, they almost go away in the back pose, right? And then her lower body looks to be a little bit too dominant here. So again, this is where, shoulders too are one of those things where you really do have to train for that full rounded effect. You got to be able to hit the front delt, the lateral delt, the rear delt to bring that kind of roundness out. If you don't have that, you're going to have a hard time in every pose, right? It could be in transition even where all of a sudden your shoulders just look totally flat. And for this, it doesn't have good symmetry, her pose in this back pose. I think that her shoulders kind of become, not the feature there. It's not showing good symmetry. It makes her lower body look too dominant in this shot, so that's the key. And also, she just looks a bit depleted overall. You can see the glutes looking flatter in the upper glute and overall, so maybe filling out the lower body a little bit more and changing that back pose would have favored her. However, again, still great placing. Now looking over here at Z, what we see, good symmetry, good shape, honestly a bit better in back pose than it was in front pose for her. Good glute shape, upper glute is there, overall tie-in, everything is good. She just doesn't have as much development as, the other two above her in this case, so that's going to be the ticket for her, is to bring up that development overall, and, that's how you're going to place higher. This, however, is a great class, great example of criteria, and really does ring true to bikini criteria and what judges are going to be looking for. So at any level that you're competing at, you want to make sure you're really focused on that hourglass shape and drawing that in, bringing that through, and really focused on the muscle. That's something that continues to be echoed in every review that I'm doing, right? This is all about muscle. This is all about muscle. And yes, conditioning conditioning is important, but if you don't have the muscle, there's no point to even worry about conditioning because you're not going to place as favorably on stage as you would want to, and that's going to happen at every level. All right, so I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think this class here is true to the criteria? Do you think this competition went the way it should have? Let me know in the comments below, and a lot more comp reviews coming. If you have any that you want me to do specifically, any competitions, even yours, amateur level, whatever it is, comment it and I will do it on this channel. All right, thank you guys for watching. Coach Rye is out.